Hi, you guys. I fell down yesterday in the garden. I was working in the garden trying to. My garden went wild a few years ago when I got sick, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't work in it for a few years, and it had been a fairly established perennial garden. Um, but it had grown up to the point where you couldn't see where any of the plants were. The weeds. So as I've been getting healthier, I've been trying to pick away at it. Um, and it's working. It's taken me a long time. But just the other day, I realized I'm actually making enough progress so that I can see both where the old garden was and where the new garden could be. It's sort of like The Secret Garden. I don't know if you guys, it's a kid's book. It's a wonderful kid's book where they discover a secret garden, a walled in that nobody's supposed to go into, and they find the key and they go check it out. It had been years abandoned and locked up, so there might be something there. Anyway, I fell. I have balance issues. I have vertigo, but this was really There was a little step, and I stepped off the edge. I think that's how it started, and I whipped around and around trying to get my balance back, really thinking at a certain point. I mean, I kept almost getting it back, but ultimately, boosh, I went over and landed in a, a patch of oregano. I could have landed on the stone path. I could have hit my head on the step. I had, I had, you know, clippers in my hands. I mean, I could have impaled myself. It was really a lot of stuff could have gone wrong, but it didn't. And I landed in the very oregano. I wasn't trying to eradicate that, but it had taken over the garden. Anyway, it saved me. As I went down, you know, okay, I thought maybe this is it. I'm checking out. And my last words were, uh, I don't even want to say them, but it was a swear. It was like, so so I was feeling pretty sassy even as I was keeling over. And my phone flew out of my pocket. I don't always take my phone outside, but I did this time, and it's a good thing I did because it was within reach. And I called uh, my best friend, local person who I knew was probably in the area and who could come because I couldn't get up. And I had lain there for it seemed like about 10 minutes before I called him because my heart was pounding and I was disoriented. I was still spinning. When I finally opened my eyes, there was the canopy of a big oak tree and these little white clouds going through this incredibly blue sky. And it was a warm day and the air smelled sweet, a little bit like wood smoke. Uh, but I just lay there for quite a long time. And then I called my friend and said, I've fallen and I can't get up, which was an old ad that we used to make fun of. And now it's funny because that's really, that's a daily deal. So I don't know where I was going with that, except that the joy of getting back into the garden and beginning to see all the hard work I'd put in was still there. Perennial plants are pretty strong and they can stand up against, they can usually survive neglect for quite a while. Um, and also the joy of thinking, now I have something to work with. So I drew 3 cards ahead of time. I mean, let me just touch on one other thing, which was in my head this morning. When my brother, who's 10 years older than I am, he reached a certain point in his life where he told me he could no longer look in the mirror to shave. It was too painful to, like, closely examine his face that was had morphed to the point where it freaked him out a bit to even look at it. And I said, "Are you kidding me? I mean, he's quite easy on the eyes. He's in his he's approaching 80 years old, and he's still got a lot going on. And there's that beauty that age doesn't touch, that's still there behind the. But it's a challenge to look in the mirror. And for me, that's this. I want to look good. I could do things with lighting and makeup and filters, and because it's a little bit hard for me. I have to look at my face a lot. And it's only hard in the first few seconds. Like when I am setting up the camera to get ready for the video, I'm looking down at it like this, and I push the button that switches the camera angle around, and suddenly I'm confronted with my own face tipped down so that the jowls are jowling, and it's not the most attractive angle. And when my daughter was little, a friend of mine, whose name, well, I can say her name, I think is Happy. My daughter called her Happy Day. There's a story behind that, but Happy had taken a photo of herself unintentionally. She was looking at her camera and trying to do something, and it took a shot of her in that look down, unflattering position. And she showed it to me, and I said, "That looks nothing like you. All of us look awful if we squinch and look down. And just don't worry, that's not your face." My daughter, who was probably 3.5, came along and saw the same photo we were looking at and said, "Happy Day." And we all burst out laughing. And that's the child's eyes. Happy didn't in fact look like this scrunched up person, but my daughter was able to see through that through whatever we would consider a distortion. She immediately recognized her because it's not based on that kind of aesthetic. It's based on recognizing somebody. She saw Happy. She didn't see that. So, and that's it. That made me think of a wonderful quote by a comedian named, and now I can't remember, but I'll try to put it in the description box. The title of his stand-up, or the, in a way, the punchline was "Seeing Through Baby's Eyes," which was so moving to me. And that's what my daughter was doing. She was seeing through baby's eyes, through the part of us that knows, that recognizes the soul inside of the whatever it is. I hope that makes some sense. The 3 cards I pulled before we got started were the 9 of Wands, which is great effort having been put into something, and perhaps there's one more opportunity, one more push left in this situation in order to reach release, Ten of Wands. And it's having the intention and kind of the foresight, because wands are intuitive, what you need to do to get there, and the strength, wands, the will to take that last step to secure something. And it involves a release. Two of Cups, Two of Hearts. This is the couple card, the meeting of the hearts. Like-minded, your feelings being reflected back. And here we have that reflected back, kind of twice over, their reflections. And they're not identical, and their feelings, their love language, their maturity when it comes to love, their ability to enter into this relationship may not be exactly the same or matched. And last card, the Empress, divine feminine energy of nurturing something, of stability, of potential, creative potential. And it might be the divine feminine, male or female, the one who wants to grow this thing, the one who is in a position of receptivity to this kind of relationship. Maybe have enough strength for one more push. And push isn't the right word, but one more attempt to go down this road, this path. And I think there's a question, is my intuition leading me in the right direction? I've been at this a long time. Obstacle after obstacle. But being really close to completion, whether or not that's finally getting here or giving it up. Empress, puts effort into birthing something, into creativity. And how long would she linger trying to make something work? Well, if she believed in it, in the potential to grow this, yeah, tell us about this Nine of Wands, please, Spirit. We got a lot. Three of Wands. Of waiting. What's coming toward me. Empress is the major arcana card of three. Three of Wands. And Empress would wait patiently. She's not in any rush. She's not going to, she's got expectation for a good outcome. That whatever this thing that's been hung up, she has an optimistic outlook toward the future. Empress does. Yes, she does. And would, because she's the principle of growth, of self-acceptance. Okay, under Nine of Wands, we have Star, major arcana card of hope, optimism, that same, and destiny, being guided to a place, perhaps guided by your own divinity, your own rebirthed self, to hang in there, to follow through. This is a card of wish fulfillment as well, being on the path, headed in the right direction. Death card. This is an ending, a transformation into something else, because something's done. And you can see there's a person collapsed here. They're at the root of the tree. It's almost like being composted. You know, that this ending provided food for the next thing. And the next thing is looking pretty good. It sure is. Under Empress, we have Devil. I couldn't even recognize that it was Devil because it looks so undevilly. But see, in each hand, she's got male and female. Something keeping them apart. Keeping them, holding them back, blocking them. I thought for a second I'd done it again, but let's just put on the specs. Yeah, I can't make it out. There's some kind of, it's a rope or a cord. At first I thought it was a snake. This thing here. But there are a lot of cords and ropes and tangles, and this is the inverse of lovers. Something separating these two. And it might be, that's what's going to change. Something has ended. This is a card of healing, of kind of being guided home in the sense of the, where your psyche longs to be. On Star, we have Queen of Wands. This is really interesting, though, because ordinarily Queen of Wands is, wands are cards of empowerment, life force. Queen of Wands is highly intuitive, good in herself, knows who she is. But this Queen of Wands looks sad to me. It does not look empowered. And I mean, it does make sense in that Queen of Wands, like Empress, is a receptive energy. I receive my own intuition, and if my intuition tells me this matters, I'll wait for it. We have, and this is also Three of Wands, wait for it. Okay, under Three of Wands is Temperance, which is also fire energy, Wands energy, coming into balance. in order to come into healing, in order to come into peace, stepping into it with, having regained some sort of equilibrium. Card of divine timing, patience. And Three of Wands is a card of patience. Waiting for the ships to come in with some optimism. A lot of fire energy here. And Queen of Wands doesn't go out and push things around. She waits for it. It's not a card of inaction. It's just a card of being able to attract things to you. This whatever it is that's coming in. And it's both that she, Queen of Wands, is balanced and healed and ready. And that what comes toward her similarly has to be balanced and healed and ready, because she will not chase. Something has to be over. And there's the release. Remember I was talking about the release. 9 of Wands is that effort. 10 of Wands, the effort to wounded warrior energy. I'll keep going. 10 of Wands is the ability to close out a cycle. This is almost closed out. Death card, closed out. And it appears to be a codependent, working too hard, pushing too hard. Because that's Capricorn energy, Earth energy. Hard working, pushing. To the point where something's toxic. And instead, adopting an attitude of somehow like the old way of feeling, Scorpio energy, death card, about love, in particular, one-on-one romantic love. Something had to transform because there was a block and there was codependence. Healed, a new perspective, a card of Aquarius, a clarity. And I think it's clearly seeing or intuiting what's coming toward you. Lots of major arcana here. Okay, on star, we have Hangman. Again, a card of emotion, connection, cups energy, water energy. It's sort of like getting your feelings sorted through non-action. Kind of like Empress energy, Three of Wands energy. Seeing it from a new perspective. And the perspective is this Aquarian clarity that is bigger than the personal. You can see the ramifications from a different point of view, to do with feelings. Somebody's processed their feelings, and it's brought them great clarity about what needs to end and about what in their life has been holding them back, holding you both back, blocking you. It's like trying to sail a boat before you pull the anchor up. Got to pull the anchor up. On Devil, we have the 8 of Cups. Somebody on the move in terms of feelings. And I see ordinarily, traditional interpretation might mean somebody walking away. And it usually shows the back of this person as they walk away. It can also be a return. That's what it looks like to me, because here she comes. And to me, this is reminiscent of that stepping into the water, moving toward more love. Okay, and that's on Devil. So it's sort of walking the path that leads you toward a greater emotional fulfillment. I mean, is this emotionally fulfilling? No. It can be fear, it can be crazy passion that's really destabilizing ultimately. That's the anchor that you're dragging. On 9 of Wands, Ace of Wands. This is the new beginning. This is a passionate new beginning. And it's a beginning, but it's something that's already sprouted. It's already been growing. And now it's like ready to burst. It's sort of Jack and the Beanstalk energy. So whatever this energy of hanging in, wounded warrior, I'm strong enough to endure this, it brings a new opportunity. And if you add them together, it's that 10 of Wands, the releasing of a burden. On Empress, we have 7 of Wands. This can mean a lot of things. It can be standing up for something. It could be how you deal with obstacles. It could be taking the higher ground. It certainly, I think, is knowing what you want, what your passion is, what drives you. Perhaps to endure false start after false start. And it's not really the universe in this case. Often that's how I see it. But in this case, it's like, it's an ace. It's like you're summoning your own life force energy to begin this new thing. It's a wish fulfillment. It entails looking at it from a different perspective. I mean, we have so many major arcana here. Energies of the psyche, the big energies that underlie our daily life and what we do. I think this is summoning the strength, the will, to stand up for something, to take your power, perhaps back. And I think that's the other person. I think that's the other person. That's on Empress. And that I don't really understand. But we have the fire pony. Fast, passionate, purposeful. An emphasis on passion, growth, creativity, drive, pushing through to make a change. And I do notice in this card of forward movement of the heart, she has that walking stick, that wand in her hand, a support. Somebody's taking their power back from a situation that was perhaps super toxic, but also fiery and passionate, and something they were caught up in. Could be an addiction, taking your power back from something you thought you couldn't live without, or they did, or both of you. Something that held you back. Oh yeah, here we have the messenger coming in passionately to kickstart something. Wands are cards of doing it, enduring it, finding your personal power, and then using it to propel you forward. I think somebody's coming forward, and you're waiting for them. And there it is, that 10 of Wands. The cycle being completed. You know, and it's something that, you know, maybe at one point inspired you. You felt like this was the direction, but somehow you got burdened by, or they did, because I think they're the Wands energy. He, she, they. Something had to be concluded. There were too many concerns being pulled in too many different directions. And it's like time to take out what no longer serves, to let something go that was weighing somebody down. And once it's released, look at the release. A passionate, not only message, but like, it's more raw than a message. It's like, let me show you. Because wands are about that, an action that reveals something. Let me show you. Let me show you. This is Emperor, I think. Yeah. Another fire energy card. We have Empress, Emperor on the board. You know, a divine union could be internal, coming into that balance, a healing balance internally. So I think there's been maturation, a growth on the part of this Wands person, because they were in Knight's energy, which is, you know, I'm going out there to do it, but it's erratic. It can be considered immature, spontaneous, but not really thought out. But I think that cycle is wrapping up, because there's the opportunity for this new beginning. Somebody now has the will to do it, to wrap up the cycle, because they've hung in there a long time. They're now an Emperor energy. You know, that Aries driven, I'm going to do it, I know what to do, I'm in control, I'm stepping into my role. And it's a big boss role. You know, it's not equivocating. Okay, and the last card out is Page of Pentacles. Empress is earth energy. What's tangible, real. It's about growth and potential for growth. And if you're talking divine feminine, she's the principle of growth. She's Gaia. She's fertile soil. It could indicate a pregnancy, and if not a literal pregnancy, a something creative coming into being. That has the support of the one who grows things. That's not quite right, but, and here's the offer. Empress is big growth, big time growth. This is a small offer. So I think at least at first, Emperor knows what he wants, knows what he's going to do, knows how to get it. He's fair, you know. He's a strong leader. He'll show up. But it starts with this seed, because I mean, he's making an offer to Empress. And he may have at one point thought, it's not big enough. It's not enough. I'm not enough. I can't match your energy. Yes, you can. A tangible offer. Because I think this fellow has, he, she, they, wrapped up a cycle. Found a purpose. Kind of, this cycle partly had to do with this in and out energy. Slightly immature, slightly erratic, jumping the gun. Pentacles indicate the time factor. The now factor. An opportunity to make it real. Somebody's offering that building block. And I think Empress has been waiting for it. It's showing up. Empress, Emperor, Two of Cups. We have Taurus in Empress. We have Capricorn in Devil. Very strong earth energies. We have Scorpio in the card of transformation, death. We have Aquarius in Star. We have Pisces in Hangman. Aries in Emperor. Sagittarius in Temperance. Divine masculine, feminine. Major transformation. You know, and if there was a codependency, something stuck, some addiction, perhaps even to each other, being addicted to, I can't quite see what. But there's clarity on that, and there's healing on that. And there's a guidance away from that. You know, the universe is kind of pulling them, it seems to me, through this upheaval, through this death and rebirth. It's sort of like a letting go of what's gone, of what's already gone. Card of putting down the burden. Somebody's released themselves and has really stepped into a role that is taking responsibility for their own actions and for the overall good. And it's yin yang, Empress, Emperor coming into balance. I think this is a lovely reading. And I don't really have a wrapping up element, except something is wrapping up. Believe that part. Allowing for this new growth, this forward movement, this control, this reclaiming power. Reclaiming power. The new perspective on emotions that guides you toward this dramatic. This is sort of in the center of the reading. It's a card of Scorpio. Transformation is central to this. The wrapping up of a cycle and the growing of a connection. Pretty fast. You've been waiting for it. But you haven't been waiting in some kind of hysteria. You've been patient. You've been calm. You know yourself. You have your own sense of purpose and direction. You're a match for this emperor. A card of optimism. Waiting with reasonable expectation. Somebody's on the move. Love is progressing and growing and moving away from toxicity. I mean, it looks like a good move. It really does. It looks like the death of the stuck thing. It's over, and it hasn't been an easy journey. It hasn't been short. But what needed to end has ended, and that's liberated this fire energy person. Now to make an offer to you on your terms in earth energy. And it's a small offer, but it's backed up by this powerhouse, divine masculine energy of doing it in the world. And I get the feeling of like the pressure building, this drive to move forward, and yet somehow being able to slow it down, Pentacles energy, to make it real, starting small, but tangibly, and growing like the garden. Somehow when I landed in that field of, it was oregano, so there was just this, and it took me a few minutes to stop spinning. And when I settled, I realized I'm not hurt. I may be wounded. My back got a little tweaked, and I got confused and messed about. But the grace of landing in the wild oregano that is just all over the garden. There's something about that too, a soft landing. A soft landing. I love you guys. Till next time.